Hello. Welcome to Yap Fest episode 2. We're here on the kitchen floor because every time I see Trisha Paytas say something super meaningful in one of those edits that makes you want to cry, she always seems to be on the kitchen floor. So I thought that maybe if I put myself here, I could say something just absolutely bonkers. Not bonkers, but something. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just, trying the Trisha Paytas way. Um, because I hashtag love Trisha Paytas, and I'm so happy for her. I hope she lives her best life forever. Um, I am not really sure what I'm going to talk about, but I know where I'm going to start because I made a note. I'm so I'm just so smart. I have a note called talk about, and there's one letter in it. I hope you can see that. It says W. And I will explain. So I can't remember when, but it's been a couple or a few days. I was thinking about why do they call it W? You know, um, obviously it visually looks like two U's, so I get that. But in certain fonts, it's two V's, but that's besides the point. The way I read it, at least, it looks like two U's. But and then I started thinking about the sound it makes. I'm like, that's not even close to a U. You know, wah and you or or ooh, like that's not the sounds that a W makes. Then I really started thinking about it. I broke up the sound of the W. And guys, it being a W is not just physical, it's also phonetical. And I'm going to explain it right here. I know that, this is a huge discovery. And I know you guys are like, oh my gosh, he's about to drop the biggest bombshell ever. And you're eagerly waiting, but I'm going to make you wait. I'm going to make you wait because patience is a virtue of which I do not have. So I'm going to make everybody else suffer. But yeah, so W, um, wha, wha. And so what led me to this discovery was I was like, okay, the second half of it is yeah, wha, is a U. But then think about that first sound you make when you say wha. It's ooh, uh, ooh, uh. Ooh being one sound you can make with you, and being this another a part two sound that you can make with the letter U. So therefore, it's not only two U's in the way that you write it, it's two U's in the way that you pronounce it. Ooh, 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 wah. So, oh my gosh, I sound like a crazed person right now. But that blew my mind. And I know that that's so maybe dumb to some people, maybe stupid to others. But to me, I was like, oh my gosh, ooh, W. That make the stars aligned when I came to that discovery. Because I sound so insane right now. Because it's W. There's two U's. Not just in the way you write it, but in the way you pronounce it. That's why it's called W. It's yeah. And I feel like people are like, oh, it's the way you write it. And that's how I've always been. Oh, it's just two U's. W. You write it that way. But no, you pronounce it as double U's. If you put two U's next to each other, not connected, not like the actual letter W, it's just ooh. I mean, you could pronounce it that way. There's certain ways, like in jewel. Oh, in jewel, it's ooh. You know, like rarely do you see two U's next to each other that aren't the letter W that say wah. And somebody in history was like, you know what? I don't like that. I don't like that two U's put together doesn't make a ooh sound. So they made W. And they're like, here's like just an actual letter that says ooh. You know, they loved the idea of ooh, you know, two U's next to each other so much that they were like, you know what? I'm going to make two U's, put them together. That's its own letter now. Like, what? That's crazy. That's so, I just, rarely do I like the English language because most of the time it just makes me mad. But that, I was like, ooh, Someone did good on that one. Someone did good on that one. Someone did good on that one. So yeah, W. That was my whole note. I have to make a coffee real quick, but don't worry, I'll keep talking. So basicamente, yeah, this discovery was kind of revolutionary for me in the sense that it really meant nothing. Like it doesn't change the world. It didn't, you know, cure some terrible disease. But you know what it did? It made me understand what a W was. And that's like honestly the last question that I think anybody has before they die is what the heck was that W about? You know, I think before you die, you just sit there and ponder what huh? A W? Two U's? Like why? And I just answered that question like that's revolutionary. For too long we went without the knowledge of the W. And we don't have to live that way anymore. And it's because of me. No, but in a serious sense, like I love when I like discover something that I'm definitely not discovering it for the first time in the sense that like in history the first time, but when it's like, oh, I discovered that for myself for the first time, like that's so fun, you know? Like it's just something like I never really thought about W's before because like who's just sitting there thinking about a W? Not a lot, you know? And like I feel like nobody asks the question of like, you know, like because why would you ask the question of, hey, why is it called W? You know, like and I feel like if you think about it at the surface level, it's like, yeah, it's just written like two U's. Like that's just how it's written. Like that's why they call it that. And like that's what I thought for a long time, which is true. Like I'm not saying that that's not true. I'm just saying that like I happened to find an extra layer to it that I was like, oh, you know, like it made sense before, but now it makes even more sense why it's called W. Guys, everybody go get Chamberlain coffee. It's really good. Emma, like I wouldn't mind you sponsoring me. Like I 100% would accept that sponsorship. You know, like I would appreciate that. No, but like I don't know. I love thinking about things like past the surface level. I literally sound so dumb. I sound like one of those people that's like, wow, I'm like so smart. Like I just think a little bit deeper than everybody else. But no, like I usually do it on accident because I'm just like really bored, so I'm thinking about random crap. And then I come across this realization and I'm like, wow, like you know, I've never thought about it that way or I've never like really just even just taken the time out of the day to like to think about it. You know, I feel like there's so many things out there that people are just like yeah, like whatever. You know, it's like why would you think deeper about it? But then it's like, when I do think deeper about it, I find this new meaning behind things. And it's like, wow, like that's so cool. Like it makes it more fun for me. I can't think of any other examples if I'm being honest. Um, but like, I don't know. It's really fun for me to like happen upon this deeper meaning behind things. Um, but yeah, I can't think of another example. I know I've done it before because, and then when I express it to other people, they're always like, well, duh. I'm like, I bet you didn't think about it that way. I bet you didn't think about it that way. And it's like, why are you making fun of me for like, having a realization? Or what makes me mad is when you're like, oh, I really like this certain part of this thing. And then the person like just tries to explain it to you to make you not like it anymore. Like I don't like, for instance, non-stick pans. I I just love non-stick pans. I love, okay, and the part I love the most about them is when you run water over them and it just beads up. It doesn't smooth over, it doesn't stay there, it beads up and it just rolls right off. It's so satisfying. And I said that to somebody and they're like, well, yeah, it's non-stick. I know it's non-stick! That's why the water's not sticking to it, you idiot. That doesn't make it any less satisfying. Like, that's still so satisfying to watch it just beat up and run off. It's the same way back in like 2014, every single person alive was obsessed with those stormproof Under Armour sweatshirts because it's satisfying to watch water just beat up and run off of them. Explaining to me that, oh, they were just sprayed with something. They were just sprayed with something. You could buy that at Walmart. Doesn't make it any less satisfying. You didn't even, I mean, explaining it doesn't make it less satisfying. And I bet you can't explain the science behind it. Like, it's really satisfying to watch like the water just beat up and run off. I love hydrophobic surfaces because it's so satisfying to watch the water just like, just reject it so intensely that it's just like, I don't want to be here, guys. I don't want to be here. It's, ugh. And I hate when people are just like, well, yeah, it's nonstick. No, duh. It's called a non-stick pan. You think I don't know that? But go take a regular pan. The water's not going to do satisfying things on it. It's only going to do satisfying things on the non-stick pan. It doesn't make it any less satisfying, you explaining that it's non-stick. Okay, imagine I didn't know the concept of non-stick pans, and I go to, run some water in this pan, just this regular pan, all of a sudden the water's beating up on it and running off. I'm gonna think that's so cool. I'm gonna be like, whoa, like that's crazy. That looks so cool. That's so awesome. Somebody comes up, they're like, oh, that's a non-stick pan. Like, that's just what it does. Guess what? I still think that's cool. Like, I'd still be like, oh, that's really dope. Like, that's still so satisfying to look at. I just hate when people make you feel stupid for like just enjoying like things like that and just like being like, oh, that's just like the way it is. Like, that's just the way it is. It's not cool. It's not special. That's just the way it is. Like, no, it can still be cool and special even if it's the most normal thing ever. And I'd argue that non-stick pans aren't normal. That's an odd occurrence that we can make pans hydrophobic like that. And I know, like, and I at least I think it's more than just hydrophobic because obviously, like, bakery, like, or what? Like, other things don't stick to it, not just like water or liquids. But maybe it's the hydrophobicness that also makes things not stick to it because most cooking things starts out as like a liquid. So I don't know the science behind it. So I'm just going to stick with calling it a hydrophobic surface because I'm mainly talking about when water like runs on it. But yeah, I think it's so dumb when people just like, I don't know, act like you can only be mesmerized by things that are like out of this world crazy. And it's like, no, like you can find normal average things satisfying or cool to look at. Like you can enjoy things like that. And I'm like I just it bugs me when people act like that's so weird to find enjoyment out of those things. It's so frustrating to me. But I don't know. Like I can't think of another I can't think of another example. I don't know. I can't think of anything else. But yeah, I don't know. That like I got really worked up over that. But it's because I feel strongly about it. Because I don't know. I hate when people don't let people just enjoy things, like just let people enjoy things. It's not hard to sit there and be like even if you disagree, like there's a difference between not agreeing on something that's like detrimental to your personality and you as a human being and like disagreeing on something that literally does not matter at all. Like if two people disagree, like what's a really big issue in America right now? I mean, the election's coming up, but like I still think people can coexist if you believe in two different sides because like that's why they're there. If every single person in America was far right or every single person in America was far left, like either side of that wouldn't be good. Like you have to have balance in everything. If everybody was far right, I don't know what would happen. We'd probably have no government eventually because they don't, like the right tends to not like as much government intervention, which fine, believe that. Like that's so fine. Don't be crazy. Um you know but then if we had far left we would probably go way too if everybody was far left we would probably go way too far left in a point where the government just controls everything because people on the left tend to believe in more government control, government regulations so that everybody can have a more like equal living style. Neither side is necessarily wrong, like, but if we have too much of either side, bad things happen. We've seen it before in history. When too many people like believe super far one side and like nobody's there to say, hey, like, maybe a couple of those things are maybe wrong, like that leads to bad things. You have to have people to keep you in check. And if those people like, and that's why I think it's fine and okay. And I encourage anybody to believe what they want as long as you're not harming those around you. That's what we're running into now. I feel like there's a lot of people that just like I don't know. I when you start taking rights away from people, I can't support that because like I don't know, especially when you use like American values to back you wanting to take away rights from people. That's literally like the opposite of what America was made for. And like it bugs me. It bugs me when people use American values to say, oh, like, these rights should be taken away from these people or this belief system should be illegal. If the belief system is anything but I want to murder everybody around me, it's probably fine. Well, okay. I take that back because murder's not like the only like super bad thing, But like as long as you're not harming those around you or wanting to take rights away from people around you, like basic human rights away from those around you, you're like whatever, believe what you want to believe. I might not agree with you, like but that's fine. That's the point of America. Those are American values. Being able to coexist with people who don't necessarily agree with you. And as long as both, like all people are being respectful to the other side and not wanting to take away basic human rights from certain people just because of belief systems, that's when we run into issues. And that's the issues that we are running into right now. But what was I even saying? I don't know. I don't know what I was saying before this. I got really like I guess I didn't get political. I just started talking about politics. But I don't know. Yeah. This might be the whole yap session. It's been 20 minutes. I need to shut up. Um, but yeah, that's my yap session. This coffee's really not good. But it's because of the way I made it. Because I make Chamberlain coffee all the time and it's so good all the time, but every once in a while I make it really bad. And it's my fault. Not Miss Girls. So yeah. I'm gonna go do something. I don't know what. But yeah. Peace.